Hello again. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, former Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services, Tom Moyane, will have to wait to hear whether or not he will be allowed to grill Public Enterprises Minister Pravin at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. Now, today, Commission Chair, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo reserved his decision to grant Moyane leave to cross-examine Gordhan. Now, the minister testified before the Commission last November. Let's chat a bit more about this now. Karyn Maughan, legal journalist at Tiso Blackstar, joins us via Skype. Karyn, before we start with you, let's take a listen to Advocate Karyn Maughan for Tom Moyane on the reasons to cross-examine Gordhan.
We said it's common cause that Minister Gordhan was the first ever witness called in the SARS inquiry, about which I'll talk. And then we say towards the end that these are false and self-serving claims in pursuit of the Moyane removal campaign. The undisputed evidence is that my performance by far outperformed his own. I also did not form an illegal intelligence structure, such as the rogue unit outside the parameters of the law.
Now, Karyn, you've heard that. I spoke to you earlier, and this seems to certainly be a political and legal hot mess, with Pravin Gordhan basically saying this is absolutely everything to do with the EFF.
Well, absolutely, and he said as much in his written application, fighting Tom Moyane's application to seek to cross-examine him, raising, in fact, the issue that Tom Moyane is represented by Karyn Maughan, who is a senior office bearer within the EFF, and raising the issue that the Inspector General of Intelligence report, which made its way into Floyd Shivambu's response to Pravin Gordhan's hate speech complaint in the Equality Court, has now also made its way into Tom Moyane's papers. And of course, this is about the bigger political spectacle of what Pravin Gordhan says is the EFF's malicious and racist attacks on him and his family, and really arguing before this commission that not only is Tom Moyane's attempt to cross-examine him unprocedural and problematic in terms of how it is legally structured, but it is nothing more than providing an attempt to provide Moyane with a platform to serve as a political pawn for the interests of the EFF. Moyane, of course, denying that, saying he's always been a long-standing member of the ANC and that he would have no desire to do any such thing.
But of course, at this stage, I think of concern to Zondo would be that this particular inquiry should not be used as a political football in trying to get to the bottom of issues relating to state capture, Karyn. That was certainly of concern.
Well, this has been an ongoing issue. We know that the BLF, for example, was, even before this commission started, you and I will know, come to press conferences and demand that Zondo, for example, investigate apartheid-era crimes. There are a lot of forces within the society who believe that state capture permeates in all different aspects. The DCJ, however, has a limited mandate. He's got specific terms of reference that he needs to investigate, and he needs to decide whether what Tom Moyane wants to question Pravin Gordhan about fits within those terms, and whether the information that he has or wants to question a Gordhan about will assist this inquiry in getting to the truth of this alleged state capture. Those are really the issues that he needs to decide, with a wider awareness, as you so rightly pulled out, of the political dynamics attached to that decision.
Karyn, let's now look at the reasons why Gordhan is opposing the application. Let's take a listen to this clip.
The Minister has nothing to hide from this commission. The Minister, as he has repeatedly said, is willing to assist you. If there's further information that you require from him, he will come and continue to assist and support the important work of this commission. But the reason why he is opposing this application is because it's either airing personal vendettas and grievances, which are not part of your terms of reference and don't advance your work, or it's part of some political campaign and the reliance, the explicit association of Mr. Moyane with the narrative run by certain political opponents of the minister in his papers by attaching their papers shows you that there is a political element to this, that they're trying to introduce into your proceedings.
Well, Karyn, we touched very slightly on that, on the issue of the political aspect that the DCJ wants to guard against. But obviously, I mean, in this instance, one would perhaps, in hindsight, also ask, then why would Moyane-Gordhan not want to be cross-examined by Tom Moyane if, I mean, at some point he also needs to be taken to task on the things that he put before this commission?
Well, this is the fine line that this inquiry is walking. You don't want a scenario in which a cross-examination exercise ends up being a free-for-all, in which unlimited space and time is given. For example, the cross-examination of Pravin-Gordhan to continue along all kind of a whole range of information that isn't strictly pertinently relevant to this inquiry. I think what's going to be interesting is that, you know, Michelle Leroux raising very pertinently this point, which DCJ Zondo kept coming back to, of Gordhan answering, essentially arguing that, look, Tom Moyane hasn't put forward a version on why he says, you know, I need to be cross-examined on this. He hasn't given a version to this inquiry on why he disputes what I said. And he says that that is a very important prerequisite of Moyane being able to cross-examine him and then ultimately himself giving evidence. Those kind of critical legal technical issues should be what ultimately shapes the DCJ's decision. But unfortunately for him, if in a scenario where he denies Tom Moyane or grants a blanket refusal, as asked for by Minister Gordhan, for any kind of cross-examination from Tom Moyane, it is going to potentially, as Dali Mpofu has argued, send an adverse signal that certain people can make allegations but not face the potential of adversarial cross-examination about the information that they put forward. And as Dali Mpofu has argued, given the minister's pivotal role within government over the last year, he says that is simply not a sustainable view to take.
And that would be quite detrimental, I think, Karyn, given the fact that if there are certain allegations that have been made, as you said, obviously the other party would need to come and basically test the information that you've brought before this commission. I'll just put you on the spot a bit. What would the likelihood be of this commission going against or going for Pravin-Gordhan on this issue?
I think what I suspect will happen is that the application will be granted in a limited form. And the DCJ will say to Tom Moyane, OK, we gave you notification that you were, for instance, implicated in terms of this NICS contract, which was for debt collection at SARS. This is the aspect in which you are implicated. We're not stopping you from coming and giving evidence about a broader range of state capture issues, if and when you choose to do that, and you've indicated that you will. But in terms of your cross-examination of the minister, in terms of how he implicates you, we're sticking to this area. The real thorny point, of course, Chriselle, will be this call for Moyane to the DCJ to say you need to consider all the so-called SARS rogue unit reports, the KPMG report, the Musi Sikakani report, and this IGI report that has been defined as classified when you consider the issue of state capture, because as Moyane now argues, that issue is allegedly a form of state capture.
Karyn Maughan, legal journalist at Tiso Blackstar, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Francis?
Thanks.